The Indiana Fever is definitely paying attention. They have quieted down some critics that thought Stephanie White was in the hot seat. Well, I'm here to tell you, she ain't in the hot seat no more. And her job might have been saved for the foreseeable future after this post they just released a few hours ago. Now, Stephanie White has been one to silence critics in the past with just, press conference interviews and doing all of these very things. But I'm here to tell you, shout out to the Indiana Fever admins, because they rubbing their hands together today.
All right, let's talk about what just happened in the WNBA world, because the Indiana Fever front office just made a move that nobody saw coming. And depending on which side of the fence you're on, you're either celebrating or absolutely losing your mind right now. Picture this. The Fever social media team sits down, opens up their content calendar, and decides to drop what looks like a simple Women's History Month tribute post. Seems harmless, right? Wrong. What they actually did was detonate a grenade right in the middle of an already burning conversation. And the fallout is still raining down. This wasn't just a post. It was a statement, a declaration, the kind of move you make when you want to look someone dead in the eye and say, "We're not changing a thing, and there is nothing you can do about it." The subject of all this chaos, head coach Stephanie White. And if you've been anywhere near WNBA Twitter or YouTube comment sections lately, you already know that her name alone is enough to start a full-blown argument. So let's go all the way back and understand how we got here, because this story has more layers than most people are giving it credit for. Stephanie White didn't arrive in Indiana as some random hire. She came in carrying a reputation built over decades. When she played at Purdue in the late 90s, she was the real deal. Gatorade Player of the Year in 1995, part of a national championship squad in 1999, the kind of player who makes programs proud long after she leaves. And when she transitioned into coaching, she seemed to carry that same competitive energy with her, bouncing around programs, grinding her way up, learning under legendary coaches. On paper, her path looked like it was building toward something special. But then came Vanderbilt, and that's where the story gets complicated in a way that the Fever desperately wanted you to forget. She took over that program, and the results were brutal. 46 wins, 83 losses over 5 years. In SEC play, she went 13-54. No NCAA tournament appearances. Not one. There were seasons where the team finished with only 7 wins, and the whole thing eventually collapsed under its own weight. She was let go, the program needed a reset, and White quietly disappeared from the head coaching conversation for a while. That history matters. And we're going to come back to it, because it's the ghost that refuses to leave, no matter how many highlight reels the Fever post online. After Vanderbilt, she didn't give up. She came back to the WNBA, started rebuilding her credibility piece by piece, and eventually took over the Connecticut Sun. And to her genuine credit, she was excellent there. Coach of the Year in 2023, Commissioner Cup champion, winning at the professional level in a way she never quite managed in college. People started to see a different version of her, a more refined, more confident coach who understood the pro game in ways she maybe didn't understand the college game. So when Indiana brought her in to coach Caitlin Clark, the most talked about player in the history of women's basketball, it felt like a bold but defensible choice. Felt like it anyway, because from the moment that hire was announced, a vocal and growing section of the fan base has been deeply, loudly unconvinced. And that tension has been simmering for months, building slowly until this week, when the Fever's social media post poured fuel on the whole thing. Here's what the post actually did that got everyone so fired up. They ran a detailed career retrospective on White, something framed as a get-to-know-your-coach series, walking fans through her playing days, her early coaching stops, her WNBA success. They listed Ball State, Kansas State, Toledo, her time as a Fever assistant, her Connecticut years. They celebrated every win, every milestone, every accolade they could find. But Vanderbilt was nowhere to be found, completely scrubbed from the timeline, like it simply never happened. And that omission, that deliberate gap in the story, is what turned a routine social post into a five-alarm fire. Because fans aren't dumb. The moment people noticed the missing chapter, they started screaming about it everywhere. Comment sections turned into courtrooms. People were pulling up old stats, old headlines, old quotes, determined to make sure that nobody let the Fever rewrite the history they were trying to quietly bury. And honestly, you can't really blame them for being suspicious. When you selectively edit someone's story and pretend an entire 5-year stretch of their career didn't exist, you're not honoring them. You're protecting them. And fans feel the difference immediately. But here's the part that really escalated things. The post didn't just celebrate White's past. It looked forward. Right there in the caption, they listed her current title as head coach, 2025 to present, written like it was already being carved into a plaque somewhere. That detail hit differently to people who had been hearing rumors that White was on shaky ground, that a slow start to the upcoming season could get her replaced before summer. Because you don't write a coach into your organization's permanent history if you're secretly planning to move on from her. That's not how PR works. That's not how any of this works. What the Fever essentially did was publicly renew her contract without using those words. They told every critic, every frustrated fan, every content creator making videos about potential replacements that this conversation is over. She is staying, and the front office is going to defend that decision loudly and without apology. Now, whether you think that's the right call or not depends entirely on what you believe about the fit between this coach and this player. And that fit, that specific basketball philosophy matchup between Stephanie White and Caitlin Clark, is where the real debate lives. Because these two don't exactly look like a natural pairing on the surface. White has built her coaching identity around defense, structure, and controlled half-court basketball. She values discipline and system. She wants to dictate pace, slow things down, make opposing teams play her game. And there's nothing wrong with that approach on its own. It's won games at the professional level. And clearly, there are players who thrive under that kind of structure. But Caitlin Clark is not that kind of player. Clark made the entire country fall in love with her because of the chaos she creates. The logo threes that have no business going in, the full court passes nobody else would even attempt, the way she can make a defense look completely lost just by walking onto the court. She is a player built for speed and freedom and improvisation. She needs space to create, room to breathe, and a system that puts the ball in her hands and trusts her to make something happen. When you start asking whether a defensively rigid, structure-first coach is the ideal person to unlock that kind of talent, the concerns don't feel unreasonable. Fans are genuinely scared that what made Clark iconic in college could get coached out of her at the professional level. There's even a quote circulating online, allegedly from White, where she suggested the Dallas Mavericks move the ball better without Luka Doncic. Now look, coaching philosophies are complicated and quotes can get twisted out of context. But in the current climate, with fans already on edge about whether Clark will be given the freedom she needs, a quote like that is gasoline. It became a symbol for everything people are afraid of. The idea that maybe Stephanie White sees the star player as just another piece of the puzzle rather than the engine the whole machine is built around. And that fear is not going away anytime soon. Look, this whole situation is genuinely fascinating to watch play out because there are real arguments on both sides, and neither side is entirely wrong. The fans pushing back on White aren't just being dramatic. They've watched this specific story before. Coach with a complicated resume gets handed a generational talent, prioritizes their system over the player's strengths, and the whole thing ends with wasted years and what-ifs. That story has played out in basketball at every level, and the scars are real. But the front office isn't operating in a vacuum either. They've watched White up close. They've seen what she did in Connecticut. They believe in her ability to build something, and they made a very public commitment to that belief this week. The post wasn't accidental. Nobody at that level hits send on something that loaded without thinking about exactly what message they're sending. They knew this would spark conversation. They did it anyway, which means they're confident enough in their decision to absorb the backlash. And there's something to be said for that kind of institutional conviction, even if the fan base isn't ready to share it. What makes this entire saga feel so high stakes is the sheer size of the spotlight. The WNBA has never had a moment like Caitlin Clark before. The viewership numbers, the ticket sales, the merchandise, the way casual sports fans who never watched a single women's game before suddenly couldn't stop talking about her. It was a cultural shift in real time. That kind of attention brings enormous opportunity, but it also brings enormous pressure on every decision the organization makes. There is no hiding anymore. Whatever happens this season, good or bad, is going to be dissected by millions of people who are invested in seeing Clark succeed. If the offense stalls, White will be blamed. If Clark has a quiet game and a rigid system, the comment sections will explode. And if the Fever stumble out of the gate, the questions that were already loud are going to become deafening. But here's the thing about pressure. It either breaks people or it reveals something in them they didn't know was there. Stephanie White has been through the fire before. She survived the collapse at Vanderbilt and rebuilt herself into a championship-level coach. That's not nothing. That actually takes real resilience and the ability to learn from failure in a way that a lot of coaches never manage. The question isn't whether she's capable of growth. The question is whether the version of her that exists right now is the right version for this exact moment in time. The Fever are betting everything that the answer is yes. They're betting that her professional pedigree outweighs the collegiate baggage, that her mentorship style will connect with Clark in a way that unlocks her potential rather than limiting it, and that the critics will eventually be quieted by wins. It's a bold bet, maybe even a brilliant one, but it's undeniably a gamble, and the entire world has a front row seat for how it plays out. One thing is absolutely certain coming out of this week. The conversation has permanently changed. The rumors about White's job security are effectively dead. The speculation about replacements being on a short list somewhere has been answered loudly and directly. The Fever made their choice, they're standing in it, and Caitlin Clark is going to spend her career, at least the foreseeable future of it, running plays in Stephanie White's system. Whether that turns out to be the partnership that wins championships or the decision that defined a missed opportunity, we're all about to find out together. And honestly, that uncertainty, that genuine tension between what could go incredibly right and what could go painfully wrong, is exactly why everyone can't stop watching. This story is just getting started.